Phrasal verbs. So many phrasal verbs have more than one meaning. Sometimes they mean two or three or four different things. In this particular case, the phrasal verb turned out has up to at least 10 different meanings. And we are going to look at them, discover them. Here we go. The first one, by looking at pictures, here we could use the phrasal verb turn out. What sentence could we make? For example, the little boy turned out the lights. In this case, turn out means to turn off, right? But it's usually only used for lights or fires. Like the firefighters had to turn out a big fire in the forest or on the building or in a building. So you only use turn out as turn off for lights or fires. That's the first one. We go to number 2. So what's happening here? We see early voting, and what do we have? Some people have turned out to vote. A lot of people turned out to vote, or dozens of people turned out to vote. What does it mean here? It's going to mean to show up, right? But it's only used for events or parties, things that have groups or at least 2 people, right? You wouldn't say, like, my friend turned out to my house. That doesn't make sense. It has to be like an event. Like a lot of people turned out to the party, or a lot of people turned out to the Star Wars cosplayer event, right? That means they showed up, but it has to be for groups of people. For example, okay, that's number 2. That brings us to number 3. This is one of the most common ones, and it's used a lot. We have a girl, we have a disappointed man in the middle here, and we have this guy here on Skype. So what could have happened? Let's see. It says Jared is heartbroken because his beautiful internet girlfriend from India of 2 years turned out to be a 45-year-old man from New York. So what does turn out mean in this case? Well, it means to happen differently in the end than expected. Happen in the end differently than expected, right? So he thought that he had a girlfriend from India. They were together for 2 years, and he thought everything was going great. But then it turned out in the end something different was happening. His girlfriend was actually a 45-year-old man. He was catfished, for example. That's what turnout means in this case. Another example. I thought the party was gonna be really boring, but it turned out to be a hell of a good time. So you have an initial thought process, and then something differently happens in the end. Something turns out differently, right? Okay, that's I believe number 3. Brings us to number 4, right? What do we see? We could use the phrasal verb turn out here. Can you think of a sentence? For example, the man is turning out his pockets, right? So what does this mean? It means turning something inside out, flipping something inside out. Like if you're young, a little kid, and the police think you're stealing from a store, he might take you to a room and tell you to turn out your pockets to see if you've been stealing candy or candy bars or something, right? Here's another one. So we see a man here in this picture. He's turning out his socks, right? He turned out his socks because they had small pebbles in them. So he wanted to get the pebbles out of there. So he's flipping them inside out. And that is number 4. That'll bring us to number 5 and number 6. Here you have number 5. Here you have number 6. So in this phrase, we use turn out. Let's turn this party out. Let's make this party a good party. Let's liven up the party in this special phrase, right? Let's turn this party out. Let's turn, usually party, right? Let's turn this graduation out or something. And then we have number 6 down here. I think everything's gonna turn out okay. This is used for predictions about what will happen in the end. You might say, I don't think everything's gonna turn out okay. I think things are gonna turn out bad. You might say. So for prediction of what you think will happen in the end is number 6. We have 6 so far. That means we have 4 more. Here we have number 7. So what do we have here? People wearing face masks. So right now, April 10th, 2020, apparently, right, wearing face masks has been turning out good results in the fight against coronavirus. So this case turnout means to produce results, to generate something, to bring about something, right? Have another picture. So here we have an octopus hamburger of Burger King or from Burger King. So using this definition, the new octopus sandwich at Burger King has been turning out bad responses from the customers, has been turning out bad results, has been generating good results or bad results. Usually just used for results, responses, something like that. And that would be number 7. Bringing us to number 8. Now this is literal, right? We have the car and it has to go out and turn. So it has the red car here, it has to turn out, right? So the red car is turning out of the driveway. This is the literal meaning. Same with these cars over here. The cars have to turn out of their driveways, this part in front of the house, to drive on the road. So he has to back up or he has to back out and turn. Same with this guy. He would have to come out and turn. So they have to turn out of their driveways, right, to leave. So turn out when a car leaves a place and turns. That's literally turning out. And there we go. We have 8 so far, bringing us to number 9, American prison slang. So if you're American, you know this one. And maybe in some other countries. But let's see what it means here. What does turning somebody out in prison mean? Well, here we have the sentence. Cornelio was turned out in prison after a more aggressive inmate threatened his life. So what are we trying to say? You make a straight man gay, or you make a straight man homosexual. And it can happen, I guess they threaten the person and the person to do something he doesn't want to do. Or maybe an inmate is raped and then becomes homosexual. Or maybe they convince the inmate, like let's say the inmate's addicted to heroin, and they tell him, if you do this or that, we'll give you all the heroin you want. So you're turned out in prison, you're straight before prison, and then you become gay or homosexual. That's number 9, right? And then we got, okay, number 10. And this one, I'm going to read it for you, and then you decide what it could mean. After slavery was abolished, we were turned out into the free world, right? Now this one I've never heard anybody use it, only in a video, and that's why I would say it's archaic. So apparently in the past, to be turned out means to be freed, right? So in the following video, you're going to see an example of people using it. They're ex-slaves in the United States, and they're talking about their experience of being freed after the war and after slavery was abolished. Here it is.
When we were slaves, we couldn't do that. See? And if we got free, we didn't know nothing to do. And my mother, she hunted places and bound us out for $1 a month. But we didn't have no property. We didn't have no home. We had nowhere, nothing. We didn't have nothing on it, just like the cattle. We were just turned out and get along the best you could.
In Texas, the slaves weren't told they were free until 2 months after the war ended. Smalley remembers that her masters gave the slaves a dinner, and then they were free.
I don't hide the other side of the folks, freedom. We didn't know. They just thought, we're just feeding us, Them didn't know where to go. You see, after freedom broke, just like he turned something out, Didn't know where to go. But just where to stay. Didn't know where to go. Turn us out just like, you turn out cattle.
Okay. So you watched the video. Here we have all of the 10 different meanings of turn out, right? Now in the United States, maybe if you're from the United Kingdom or Australia or Jamaica or something, some other definitions of turn out. Maybe the prison slang one, turn out to make a straight man gay, is not used in your country. Or maybe you have some other ones, you have another meaning for turn out. So I say at least 10. These are the at least 10 definitions of the phrasal verb turn out, right? Something interesting to notice is sometimes the particle out or the preposition, I mean, it's the particle, but it's a preposition or an adverb. It's going to be referring to the opposite of something, right? Um, you might notice that with out in all phrasal verbs. This happens. For example, you turn off a light. It was on, and you do the opposite. You turn it off. You turn it out. Your pockets were inside your pocket. Then you turn them out. You do the opposite. They're in. They're out. Say what number 3. You think something's going to happen a certain way, and then the opposite happens, right? Going down here to turn out, to turn, to leave a place with your car. Well, first you turn into your driveway, then you turn out, the opposite. Same with this one. Before going to prison, you're straight, and then afterwards you become the opposite. You become gay, for example. And then the last one, well, you're free, you're a slave, and then you're turned out. The opposite happens. You become free. So this out, this particle, is changing the meaning, or going from something to something that's opposite, right? To one thing to the opposite. Same with, for example, your legs. Let's use the phrasal verb give out. So your legs are working, and then they give out. They do the opposite. They stop functioning. They stop working. So a lot of times the particle, which is a preposition or adverb, is good. When it comes to the word out, it means the opposite of something. Okay, so we have at least 10 different definitions for turn out. If you have any other definitions, any questions, you can leave some comments or questions. Thank you.